John Verlaine from the Sunday Times and also author of Death in Perugia. Very chaotic indeed, isn't it? Are we really any closer to knowing how Meredith Kercher was murdered?
That's the question I asked the Kerchers this morning, and Stephanie said that she had no idea about the why. She spoke about Meredith, about how lovely, how wonderful, what a wonderful girl she was, and she just could not conceive of a reason. And I think, honestly, obviously, if we have this judgment today, we'll have to wait for how the judges explain it. They may come up with a review of the evidence, with a long, detailed report, which could give us some new elements, which could maybe help us try and understand what actually happened and how and why Meredith died.
But there is one person still in jail for this murder, and that is Rudy Guede, a man originally from the Ivory Coast who lived here in Perugia. He was convicted in a separate fast-track trial. He is in prison for the murder. So was he the sole murderer, as the defence had always claimed? Is that now accepted given this result?
No.
Or will we have to wait and hear from him?
Right now there's a huge contradiction. The Supreme Court, Italy's highest court, confirmed Rudy Guede's 16-year jail sentence, but said that he was one of several killers. Now we have just one killer, Rudy. So it's a contradiction with this, and in fact it's another reason why there will be an appeal and why the Italian justice has yet to resolve exactly what happened.
This is just terrible for the Kerchers, because there just seems to be no end, and they just want to get to a point where they can remember Meredith as she was, and not as they said once, not as a tragic victim or a news item, but whilst all these legal processes are ongoing, they can never get to that point, really. They can never put it to rest.
That's right. It's the decision tonight is a huge slap in the face for Italian justice, for the prosecutors, a huge slap in the face for the Italian police, and also a slap in the face, I think, for the Kerchers, because of their belief, and they've said it publicly, their belief that Amanda and Raffaele were guilty and did carry out the murder with Rudy, which obviously has now been contradicted by this court. But yes, because of the very nature of the Italian system, because of all these guarantees, these guarantees for defendants, it does mean that it's very, very slow, and it's, I think, the only court which can put maybe the last stop to this story is the Supreme Court in Rome.
You mentioned the Italian police just then. Sorry, John, can I disrupt you just for one moment? We've got Giulia Buongiorno, who is
Vabbè, me lo tengo così.
Lawyer for Raffaele Sollecito. Signora, può venire, avvocato, può venire qui un attimo, se parla lentamente.
Ok.
Non parla inglese?
No, qualche poesia posso dirle.
She doesn't know, she can apparently say a poem in English, but she doesn't actually speak English. Cos'è la sua reazione sulla decisione?
È una decisione che noi ci aspettavamo.
She says this was a decision that they were expecting.
Perché in questa fase del giudizio c'è stato un adeguato approfondimento delle prove.
Because at this point of the proceedings there was a better understanding of the evidence.
In primo grado invece era stata negata la perizia.
Whereas in the murder trial the evidence was refuted.
Ed è chiaro che in assenza di una perizia non c'è stato quel grado di analisi che poteva chiarire quella che era la posizione dei nostri assistiti.
And because they couldn't analyze the evidence properly, they couldn't really get to the bottom of it. Raffaele Sollecito come sta in questo momento?
Sta benissimo, è molto felice. Ovviamente ha trascorso 4 anni durissimi, però in questo momento è molto felice.
I asked her how Raffaele Sollecito is feeling. She said that he's very happy that he has spent 4 very difficult years, but that he's very happy at this moment. Giulia, buongiorno, grazie mille, arrivederci. So there we have it. We've heard from Amanda Knox's lawyer and Giulia Buongiorno, Raffaele Sollecito's lawyer as well. John Verlaine is with me. John, if you could just stay here with us for a few more moments, but let's just take some time out of the chaos that has become the centre of Perugia now and look at the background to this case following those acquittals of Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito. A picture was painted of Amanda Knox as having the face of an angel, but the persona of a she-devil. The reality is that Amanda was not capable of murder, but she was young, naive and misconstrued from the moment investigators set eyes on her. It's true, her much photographed face has eclipsed that of her murdered flatmate, the British student Meredith Kercher, who was 21 when she came to Perugia in 2007. Meredith, who once appeared in this pop video, had been in Italy for just 2 months when she was sexually assaulted and stabbed in her own bedroom. Investigators and prosecutors came up with a theory that Amanda and her then boyfriend Raffaele Sollecito forced Meredith into a sex game, along with a third man, Rudy Guede, whose DNA was all over the crime scene and who has since been convicted of the murder. Much of what was alleged to have happened in the apartment that Amanda shared here with Meredith is based purely on supposition. None of Amanda's DNA was found in Meredith's bedroom, and an independent review of the analysis allowed at the appeal dismissed many of the original findings because of contamination and bad practice in how the evidence was collected.
They went into the house not looking for evidence, but they were looking for evidence that tied Amanda and Raffaele specifically. And anything that they found that clearly shows she wasn't involved, they just twisted it to make it sound like she was involved. When Amanda and Raffaele were seen kissing within hours of Meredith's body being found, it was deemed inappropriate. Suddenly, they were the focus of attention and were arrested 4 days after the murder.
Arriving in the police office, I didn't expect to be interrogated at all.
Over a year after they were first imprisoned, Knox and Sollecito stood trial. They said they had never been at the apartment the night of the murder. They were at his place watching a video and smoking marijuana. Prosecutors claim Meredith's bra clasp found at the scene had Raffaele's DNA on it. But independent analysis in the appeal revealed it hadn't been bagged until 46 days after the murder and had been contaminated. The analysis also found there was too little DNA on the blade of a kitchen knife belonging to Raffaele, the supposed murder weapon, to be able to attribute it to Meredith Kercher, as the prosecution had claimed.
Meredith Kercher was killed by one man, Rudy Herman Guede. He was a known burglar. She surprised him in the house, and he took her life and sexually assaulted her.
Are you taking movies right now? No, not at all.
Finally exonerated, Amanda Knox will soon be able to return to normality, though after the ordeal of the last 4 years, it will be a different sort of normal. Luisa Baldini, BBC News, Perugia. Well, let's bring in Paul Gilbert, a human rights lawyer and international media lawyer as well. Paul, good evening to you. Incredible scenes here in Perugia following those acquittals. Your reaction first.
Well, if you look at the points of appeal that have been relied on by the defence in this case, in a way, as Amanda Knox's lawyer was saying in the interview that you had with him just a moment ago, this was the result that they were always expecting, and it paints a pretty poor picture of certainly crime scene work, judging by the pictures that were revealed of the video recording of various exhibits being handled by different people. So in a sense you could say that the outcome was hardly surprising. What I think is particularly interesting, though, is this notion of the prosecution appealing to the what's been variously described as the Supreme Court, although I understand it's called the Court of Cassation, based in Rome, because even if that appeal is successful, and as I understand, the judges in that court are pretty single-minded, and so it wouldn't be unheard of that it may be successful. So in other words, the conviction is reinstated. There is, judging by what we've heard, zero possibility of Amanda Knox ever returning to Italy to serve any further part of the sentence that was imposed if the conviction was reimposed. So, in a sense, a fascinating development today, fascinating potential developments in the future.
I don't physically see.
Yeah, both Amanda Knox's family and also Raffaele Sollecito himself had said that they were victims of a miscarriage of justice, and this evening they have been vindicated.
No, I'm just saying
they have very much been vindicated, and as we were all sitting there listening to the announcement by the judge of the appeal outcome, short, sweet, and very much to the point. Both defendants acquitted completely of the 4 charges, and yes, total vindication.
Although Amanda Knox was found guilty of the slander of the Congolese barman Patrick Lumumba, but because she's already served 4 years, they have said that she doesn't have to serve that sentence and she can be released. So we're expecting her to be returning back to the United States any time now.
That's right, although again, interestingly, something we were looking at earlier, which is this fact that not only was this criminal case going on, but there was also a civil case, and we also had part of the appeal that dealt with the fact that a civil claim, the payment of costs and damages compensation, stands, and so those have to be paid, but that is not going to stop, as you rightly say, Amanda Knox leaving Italy, returning to the US. Certainly, I would have thought probably within the next 24 hours. So whether that money that's been ordered to be paid ever does get paid, well, I wonder.
And what about the possibility now of Amanda Knox seeking compensation from the Italian authorities?
That is often a very difficult area to pursue, certainly in my experience. Generally speaking, you have to show some sort of maliciousness. Now, certainly there have been allegations made, and they were indeed made in terms in that piece we've just seen by a member of Amanda's family, as I understand it, that this police investigation was biased. They were looking for evidence that was going to support a prosecution of Amanda. But that is not, in my view, far enough to say that this was a malicious prosecution. The police have to investigate. If the evidence is there, the Italian authorities, the prosecuting authorities, have to pursue a case. That's what the court is there to decide, whether there is a case or not. I would be very surprised if any such claim was issued. I suspect that in terms of compensation, that's going to come in the form of the book deal or the movie deal that she's now going to sign.
Paul Gilbert, human rights lawyer, thank you very much indeed. Let me just give the last word to John Verlaine, who is with me here in Perugia. John, we're just seeing live pictures of a police car with flashing lights just here in Perugia. We have, of course, had these acquittals of Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito, and just remind us before we have to hand back what it felt like, the atmosphere in court as the judge read out his decision.
I think just the huge contrast between the whoops of joy and the clapping of the Knox family, and their hugs and their kisses, and the shock on the faces of the Kerchers, and I think remember the tears of Stephanie Kercher as they are no closer to finding out why Meredith died.
Okay, John Verlaine, thank you very much indeed. And so Amanda Knox's nightmare is over. She will soon get her life back.